Hello, today we're going to talk about labor transfers in the Kronos application. Logged in as a supervisor, I'm going to open up my Genies and then drop down and select the IS summary page. I'm going to open up and pull a small group of employees to explain the primary labor account in Kronos. The primary labor account in Kronos consists of several values that come from the HR application. In it, you will see a list of characters and values. The first one identifies Tower Automotive. The second one is temporary. The third value is your plant number. The fourth labor level is whether you're direct or indirect, and possibly a temp or direct or temp indirect employee. The fifth labor level is the PeopleSoft department. The sixth labor level is the cost center or QAD department ID. And the last value, the last labor level, is the job code. All of these together identify an employee's home labor account that is in the HR system that identifies in Kronos. You can make a labor change from any of these values for your employees. To do that, we're going to select an employee and just look at their data. We'll go to the time card and we'll look at the previous pay period. Right now, the employee has scanned in and scanned out on last week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But let's say that some of this time needed to go to a different labor account. Now, if we want to make a labor transfer for all of this time on this one day, we can do that directly in the time card. Right now, we can see the employee's home labor account. But let's say we wanted to move it to a different labor account. So here we can click and drop down on the search. Once you have values built up, you can then select them from here. But let's just look at search for right now. Search will pull up all in the labor accounts, all of the values that you have access to. So if we want to move them to a certain cost center, we would select that. For now, let's just do training and orientation. And he's already in direct, so we want to move that to indirect because that doesn't have anything to do with production. We're going to send him to training for this time. Now I'm going to hit apply. Again, I was on the labor account value. Once I hit apply, that labor account is now sitting here. And if I save on the time card, you're now going to see that the hours for this Monday have now broken out into the training environment. Only those values that I selected to change changed. And those are the buckets that that's going to sit in. It identifies and breaks that out for you. Now, let's say on the next day, the first 2 hours of that day, I wanted to go into training and maybe the remainder back into his home account. This is where you will use the schedule editor. The schedule editor is a place where you want to perform that action. So on Tuesday, you're just going to either right-click and edit, or you can double-click to open it. And here is where you're going to do your labor transfer. Here, we're going to say transfer, and it's going to be the first 2 hours. So I will say 7 to 9 a.m. And then I'm going to insert another row. And this is going to be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the remainder of the day. And this is going to be back into the home account, which was, I'm going to go back to search. It was direct. And then his cost center was 1120. So now I'm putting him back into his home account. Now that I've done that, I can click, apply, and then I save it on the menu. Once I've saved it here, when I go back to the time card, all I have to do is click on refresh, and it applies the data where it's supposed to go. So now, if we switch our totals at the bottom and look specifically at Tuesday, just raise this up a little bit, you can see that the first 2 hours went into the training environment where we were, and then the remaining time went to regular, went to his normal home account. And this is all after the employee has scanned in and scanned out. Again, to transfer hours for the full day, you can go directly into the time card and do it here. Or if you want to transfer pieces of time during the day, you want to do that in the schedule editor. If you are in your supervisor home space and you want to make a transfer to someone there, let's just open this up. I think we were working on vendor, so let's just try to find vendor here. We can do a transfer in this area. The easiest way to do these things after the fact is to go directly into the time card for a full day transfer, and in the schedule editor to do a transfer of time if it's a partial time. Let's do one where the transfer is at the end of the shift. So we'll hit a plus sign here. I'm going to put them in, let's say, this training again, but I'm going to start this at 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. and we'll say that this is going to end at 12 p.m. Okay, so there's our regular time and there's our transfer. We're going to hit apply and we're going to save. Now when we go back to the time card, there's our transfer. In his normal home account at the beginning of the shift and transferred into a different area at the end of the shift. The values that you select are up to you. Again, you want to be sure to use your direct or indirect values, and you will be selecting a change in either the PeopleSoft department, the cost center or QAD department, and or the job code. It really would depend on what your plant decides how to do those transfers.